Yeah.
Well, I can understand.
That was the place to go. That was the nearest place.
And they were right by the river.
Yeah.
No, I don't hear too many horse stories. I just lived there for my childhood. I lived there for my matter of fact, you know, that's why I bought a company.
Well, I'm glad to meet your acquaintance.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Mention who the best.
Yes. Tom.
Okay. Oh, nice. Nice.
And the director's
No, it's our, I've been to 11th. We, yeah. Yes. Although they've been super excited about it. I told all the preschool, it was in the library and in the preschool.
My mother had a best friend who named her child Todd. All named my child Todd.
So your question?
I'm very grateful because I almost got me in trouble.
I think for
Somebody there in the park, I really
want
wanted
to
to
go
child
into
Todd.
What is it?
Good news, Bill.
Another coworker. I can
Point Break coming back. Well, that's what I'm afraid of. I think so. One of my people, I met a guy who came from Pittsburgh, who was Point Break. So I thought he's young, very I still remember when I was young, it was a place I did.
Like black and white chest. Yeah. Really? Didn't like it? Yeah.
The doctor was involved. That one of the children was basically not wrong.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, I can check that.
Well, actually, that's good evening. Good evening. The early family doctor. Sure.
Oh, yeah, Rich.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody would win.
There's one wonderful no, but a lot of that whole going from Where you are. Some Mexican restaurants. There's that one that opened up right where Thompson's Straw. That place at Palestine was arrested for that purpose.
Philosophical society. But you have to be outgoing.
I'm trying to think, because I usually walk up. I live way down. I'm close to the stadiums.
I had a kid who was, I had a kid.
I usually, when I take my
I
walks,
was
walk
kidding
up.
with these, my sister gave me her kid.
Oh.
And I'll there are so many restaurants they've been turned over. There used to be some nice Greek restaurants. The one Chef Daniel
for that time. Every time I have a favorite restaurant,
yeah.
I'm not in that
I love it.
very strange.
And I
I'm
was,
never going to have a favorite restaurant.
I was going to ask
I know
don't do
You
it.
know it's mine. Wildflowers. Oh, I love wildflowers. I just live here.
I'll probably do that.
The best salad bar. Yeah. The best salad alley.
I'll give you a special tour.
I live in the neighborhood.
remember Steve Bose
Is there a ticket
or Miss Sarah? Because I was with my friends like their little teams.
However, Estia is.
No, I didn't read this about the newspaper.
I'll be there in
Facebook.
I'll be there in a couple weeks. Probably early. My friends go to the orchestra. I meet them for dinner. I don't go for
Mine's a quarter salad.
okay, we'll probably come in and I think she got it.
And, well, Rich.
Oh, well, you have it
New
easy.
Year's Eve, but every year, well, what day is Saturday? To see if it was slush, all the sidewalk, or in the space between the streets. There wasn't, so I was able
Oh, yeah. It was not too bad. That's like one last thing. But it was out shoveling and putting it. Yeah, we didn't see it. If you came out,
Yeah.
but it was out early because they were afraid of it. The kids were in school.
Oh, yeah? They still have kids?
I just wanted to make sure it was not.
And three other city of the one is American, Meaningful Library, and three names. Little tiny names. So we invited chemical, like the other. But after Brett, remember my friends. They were inspired. Darby Library was inspired by the library. In the same year, 1769, they sired the library. Chestnut. That's what the Darby Library was so common. Big part of the Chester Library. Yeah. We sired the library, you know, kind of neat. Yeah. Jim was
So I had a great original family.
So what did you do before you retired back to the last?
Data entry clerk for a while.
Pardon?
Data entry clerk for a while. Very boring work. Very hard to become a motivation street. Still getting it on.
Let the people get this.
Sounded like the center, but also the philosophical society of library, and then actually, I have three libraries.
It's an excellent role. The only thing I've learned from your students.
I have to work in public library.
So you work in a lot.
I work for the library. No. Public library found for had to start collecting. So I was hired to found family, so it was
Has come up.
satisfaction.
Yes.
No?
Why did everything went
Well,
wrong?
one aspect of it is
That everything is possible. Nothing is possible. Now we're teaching how to be independent in life.
Well, that's a funny comment because so many expect the story of repeating itself. You know, here we go again. You know, we do
Everything is right.
I'm starting, I'm doing the best I can.
Went on to two separate, and
That was very easy to keep. When you stay
I have a computer, yeah.
Wow.
good, good. I'd be interested in coming. If I could come to your information.
That'll probably be at school,
So it won't be appropriate for me to come?
that's where I was first in Conway, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Former.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. And I'd be interested in hearing you talk to you. Can you get in there? A week, sure. Fine.
One more.
You would certainly be the inspiration.
How did you meet your director that your friendship goes where?
I absolutely. I mean, somebody either earlier or later, you're the one in the way it's instrumental, it's divine intervention. I think you're the divine intervention person.
Thank you very much. Yes. Never give up.
You know what? I've been doing that for a while, but that in my mind as a metaphor.
Have you considered getting nursing home?
Have you introduced yourself especially?
Getting somebody to come in about an hour and a half.
So you did this in New York. Easy breezy. Thank you very much. Where is it?
There's other shooting agencies that are pretty set up for funds from the state.
how about yourself?
I know it's hard.
Then we have to do it right?
We can move the chairs, sure. Why don't we just move the chairs? Yeah. Create.
Can you see okay? Yeah. Okay.
Then it just creates This is
Oh, yeah, right.
so it's sort of
But I got
Number one. And it will find really great stuff. I highly recommend He's number one.
Okay.
so. Katie did programming at the Rosenbach for a while, did Bloomsday, did other. I don't remember that. That's not how I remember it.
No, it was the 100th. It was the 100th anniversary. Yeah.
Michael?
Sort of feel like if we
Jacob, you should.
I think we can read for you.
Yeah. Oh, I got it.
Where do you do it?
Oh, how do you do it?
I think we're about ready to get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Barsanti. I'm the director, my full title, the Edwin Wolf II Director of the Library Company of Philadelphia. I want to welcome you here tonight for the introduction of our Franklin Circles program. Tonight is, this is going to be an interesting night. The traffic outside I'm hearing is terrible. And so I'm sure there's going to be people trickling in over the next few minutes. But tonight, what we want to do is to introduce you to this idea of Franklin Circles. And so you'll be hearing a little bit from me, a little bit from Andrew Nurkin of the Free Library, and a little bit from Asha Karan from, if she gets here, from the station. We'll be hearing a little bit from the 92nd Street Y about this program, where it came from. About halfway through the program, you all have noticed that you have some Franklinian virtue on your name tag. I assure you these have not been selected with an analysis of your faults and strengths. There's not a lot of biography. It was random, completely random, except for some of you. So we'll break off into groups organized around those subjects and model a little bit of what Franklin Circles are meant to be. We were very excited to host this program. Franklin Circles are a program developed by the 92nd Street Y. And back in August of this year, I saw a Wall Street Journal article about them. I should say, actually, it was a board member who emailed me the Wall Street Journal article and said, "We're not in there. Why aren't we in this article?" And my wife, Erin Mooney, by the way, I want to give Erin a shout out. Erin is the mastermind behind the public relations of this campaign, and so we've had a lot of attention from HYY, from the Inquirer, from this reporter from KYW here tonight, and that's all thanks to Erin's diligent work on this. But it all started with Erin being diligent about, she told me, you can write a letter to the editor of the Wall Street Journal about this. I'm, oh, right, I can do that. And so I wrote a letter to the editor, and they published it. That, plus a really wonderful personal connection between, again, Erin and the 92nd Street Y got their attention and got us interested in having this program here. This is a wonderful place to have a Franklin Circle. The Franklin Circle is meant in many ways to recreate some of the strengths and wonderful advantages that Franklin's Junto created. And this institution was created by the Junto. It was created to serve the Junto, and we sort of think of it as being the home of Franklin's Junto in many ways. This institution was founded by members of the Junto and a number of other Philadelphians in 1731, when a group of people who really wanted to read and get together and talk decided that they would form a company that would buy books together and that would support their weekly gatherings, talking about the issues of the day, talking about how to live a better life, talking about how to serve their city. And it's this place being founded by the Junto, we really welcome the opportunity to bring back these Franklin Circles, which try to reanimate that. With that, I suppose that is why we're here. That's why the Franklin Circles are here, and I'm just very excited that you are here. This, the idea of animating the Junto, of making this into a learning community, expanding the learning community at the heart of the Library Company is central to what I want to do. So I'd love to now welcome up Andrew Nurkin from the Free Library, who's going to speak a little bit about their involvement. And I just want to thank Andrew, who is fairly new at the Free Library, for coming here tonight and for signing on for this great experiment.
Thanks so much, Mike. My name is Andrew Nurkin. I am the Deputy Director for Enrichment and Civic Engagement at the Free Library of Philadelphia. And I want to thank Mike and the Library Company and the 92nd Street Y for bringing Franklin's Junto back to Philadelphia, but reimagined for the 21st century. Franklin Circles are, I think, an opportunity for neighbors to come together for sustained dialogue and asking big questions and sharing personal experiences. This project aims to get people talking to each other about things that matter and what we have in common at a time when we are all seeing the heightened polarization and division both here in Philadelphia and nationally. Libraries have always been places for exactly this kind of discussion, places where communities can gather and learn together. This is reflected in the mission of the Free Library, which is to advance literacy, guide learning, and inspire curiosity for all Philadelphians. Our libraries are spaces for citizens of all ages, races, economic backgrounds, and cultures to build community. And I should say there are 54 free library locations across the city. As you all know, no Philadelphian lives more than 2.5 miles from a free library location. The Franklin Circles project comes at a particularly exciting time for the Free Library. We are have just reopened 4 21st Century Library branches, Tacony, Logan, William, Marrero, and the formal opening on Saturday of Lovett Memorial in Mount Airy. This is part of our campaign to transform Philadelphia's libraries to meet the changing needs of the city today. These libraries were specifically designed with civic engagement in mind, which is what the Franklin Circles are all about, to make them true community hubs for education, entertainment, and enlightenment. So the Free Libraries Partnership on Franklin Circles is really an invitation for anybody who is interested in organizing the Franklin Circle to do so at their neighborhood library. The spaces are free and open for all and available to anybody who wants to host a meeting of their Franklin Circle over the course of 2018 and into 2019. All you have to do is call your neighborhood librarian and organize, schedule a time to use that meeting space. So we hope that this project really flowers across the city in every neighborhood, and that you take advantage of the Free Library of Philadelphia space and resources for that purpose. Thank you.
And now, as the understudy playing the role of Asha Curran.
Hi, I'm here.
Very dramatic. Wow.
Hi. Hi, too.
No further ado.
No
Asha
wonder
Second Street Y.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Sorry about your camera.
Yeah, I'm trained. It was late an hour. I'm sorry. I was practicing every virtue I could possibly take. Stay present in the moment and patient. Anyway, hello. I'm sorry to be a little bit frazzled. It's lovely to see all of you, and I'm very happy I finally made it here. Philly is actually, I didn't grow up in Philly, I grew up in New York, but my mother grew up in Philly, and all of my family is here. So I'm very attached to this city, and could not be more delighted to have a project that I care so very deeply about taking hold in such a big way here. I just want to begin by thanking the Library Company and the Free Library of Philadelphia for bringing this amazing project full circle back to where it all began. I think that couldn't be more meaningful. We began, and I want to just acknowledge the amazing work of Julie and Patty on the 92Y Belfer Center team, and of Mike and Erin and Siobhan and Andrew here in Philly. Collaborations between big institutions are always about the people behind those collaborations, and this one has a truly great team driving it forward. This project began with Ben, right? But it was reimagined with us at the 92nd Street Y, which I'll forgive many of you for not being familiar with, but it's a New York institution. It's a cultural institution that is 143 years old, so not quite as old as the original Junto, but not what you'd call a young upstart either, generally responsible for igniting new and fancy ideas. But we, myself, Julie, and Patty, work in the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact at the 92nd Street Y. So we are kind of the young upstart incubator engine for new ideas at the Y. And so the Y, which is a cultural and community center of great age and always has words attached to it like venerable and prestigious and trustworthy, and they all mean old. Does lots of wonderful things, but generally for a really local community. We're sort of responsible for generating new ideas and really trying to reimagine what community and civic engagement and dialogue mean in the 21st century in this kind of hyper-connected and yet incredibly disconnected age. And that's the reason I love this project, because it is a marriage of something very, very old and something very, very new. Innovation does not always have to mean coming up with something new and fancy. It can mean acknowledging that there was an absolutely brilliant idea that existed and then died out, and then thinking about how you can use the tools that you have at your disposal now to bring that idea to life in a whole new way. So Ben had this idea and it was brilliant. We didn't need to reinvent anything. We didn't even play with his wording, because his definitions of the virtues, his wording of the virtues was so spot on and really makes you think every single time. And you don't need to be super wordy about it either, right? They're all very, very pithy. And yet you can talk about them for 2 hours and hardly realize that you've spent that long talking about them. So we thought of this idea and decided to try to use technology to make it available to anyone, anywhere who wanted to connect with other people and to think about, like Ben did, how you live a meaningful life and how that living of a meaningful life turns you into a better citizen of your community and of your world. And now, seeing how these circles are growing all around this country is incredible. We see stories coming back to us from circles that are happening, you know, at a gay-straight alliance at a high school, at a senior citizen home, a group of senior citizens meeting with high school seniors, gated communities, people in substance abuse recovery. It's just a remarkable breadth of people who are able to take this idea and adapt it and make it their own. So I'm so happy to see this idea taking hold here in its original home. I think Philadelphia should be really proud of being the original home of something like this. And I can't wait to hear all the stories that come out of the circles that are going to start here in Philadelphia. Thank you so much. I want to introduce my colleague Patty, who will actually run us through a little bit of an exercise. Thank you.
So just like Asha invited me to participate in the first Ben Franklin Circle that was taking place out of the 92nd Street Y, it's a privilege for me to invite all of you to participate in the circle tonight. It was like an afterthought. We were having coffee. I just moved from Chicago to New York. We're doing this thing. It's a mutual improvement club, kind of modeled after Ben Franklin's 13 Virtues. You want to give it a try? And it's like, sure, structure group conversation. I never turned that down. And you know, while the reasons for doing this and the benefits of doing this work have been discussed, and kind of the collective impact of all of us getting together and learning and growing and contributing to our communities, I'm going to invite you to kind of tap into the selfish motive for doing that, because I actually think that's what keeps you sustained in this work. And for me, the selfish motive was making new friends quickly in a new place, and having this space for, you know, personal growth. But what I got out of it and what I contributed to it was much more. I participated in this circle for over 13 months and was so in love with the idea. I felt like I can't imagine my life without a Ben Franklin Circle in it. And I started another one in Huntington. And actually just last night, my Huntington group closed out. We had a very long conversation on humility, and we just didn't want to let go and have our circle end. We actually stayed talking until 1:15 in the morning. And we're like, we have to go home now, and we group hugs, and we took a selfie with the clock behind us because we really didn't want it to end. So I am so excited for you about, you know, how this is going to contribute and add meaning and enrichment into your life. And what, you know, the thing is, it's that this, like having small group experiences isn't an absence from my life. So it was like, there's something that's magic about the structure that I'll get into. So first of all, there's 13 virtues, which means that you meet for 14 meetings. Usually groups try to get together about once a month. Some groups that are structured around school schedules or need to fit it into some other time frame can adapt it for their needs, but generally you're meeting once a month. The virtues that Franklin provided are prompts. So you don't have to necessarily agree with them. You're not in the Ben Franklin fan club. This is just, you know, a prompt. This is how Ben Franklin defined industry or justice or humility. Agree or disagree. It's a safe place to do that. And then another key element that I found was that you're making a commitment. So you're just not talking kind of theoretically about a virtue, but you're leaving every meeting with a specific, actionable, measurable thing that you're going to do to take accountability around that virtue. And so that's what we're going to be practicing tonight. You know, unfortunately, we don't have 5 hours for you to have a full Ben Franklin Circle. Not that it needs to be 5 hours, but it definitely could be. Probably need at least 2 hours, but we're going to give you about 25 minutes to go have a little Ben Franklin conversation. And I have discussion guides here. There's going to be a host from each of your groups. One, you're going to introduce the virtue and the definition. 2, you're going to have a discussion with, we've given you some sample questions. And then 3, you're going to set a commitment. And we gave you some sample commitments so that you don't have to think too hard about it. And this is a mini version of free toolkits and resources that we have on the Ben Franklin Circle's website, benfranklincircles.org. And our job is just to provide some of the tools and structure to make it easy for you. But as Asha had mentioned, please feel free to adapt and make this your own and share best practices with us. So without further ado, let's get going with these with the small groups. So we've got some paddles here to make it easy. Okay. What's the first virtue there? Are they all lined up in order? All right, we need a leader from Temperance.
Raise your hand
to be our host.
Laris, would you be our Temperance leader?
All right, Temperance can go find a space, whether it's here in your refreshments or in the gallery.
Temperance is going to meet by the bar.
Much to discuss.
Justice. Is anyone here from, who's a justice? I'm a justice.
I'm a justice.
Mr. Miggs?
I should say, I'm sorry, before we leave the room, I forgot to mention, because we will not be coming back as a large group after your discussions, but I'm going to bounce around and let you know when time is up. We hope that you enjoy your experience in the circle and are motivated to start your own. It is quite easy. And for the first 4 circles that are starting in Philadelphia, you just have to let us know when you're launching. We have $100 to get you started with some maybe food and drink for your first meeting or 2. Okay? All right, we'll keep going with breaking up in some.
Who's industry?
Here you go.
You were chastity. Can you remember that? You were the very figure, sir. Industry. Who's industry?
Yes. Yeah, and
Going once.
I'll be coming around.
So anyone who has industry, Mr. Stiefel is your host. One industry? All by yourself? Frugality?
Frugality?
We may have to bundle some people together.
Oh, yeah.
Who's frugality?
I'm frugality.
And I think you can either find a corner here or also in the gallery. Order. 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 Sincerity. Any sincerity?
Luckily, I'm not sure how to say your name.
Silence.
Hey, Patty.
Silence do good.
Facilitator for chat.
Silence is over here. Moderation. Moderation.
What time?
No. Going once?
I'd like to literally walk in and
Are you moderating? Awesome. So just hold it up and people who are moderate can find it. Resolution.
Oh, here. I like plenty of cheese. I tried to be an hour early. Sorry about that.
Frugality over here. Frugality.
Who's tranquility? This is order. Oh no, you're resolution.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Are you tranquility? All right. We may need to Patty. Popular favorite here, chastity. There you go. And cleanliness.
I have a very strong opinion.
Who else amongst us is chaste?
Where do we go? Cleanliness.
Silence kind of go together.
All right, Cassidy, come follow me.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
This corner. Okay, where you are.
Silence.
Where should we go? Excuse me. I gotta get my son. I'll try to get back. I'm not.
So I they told me they sit in the coach class. So when I sat on the seat, loudspeaker comes on, so if you take a business class ticket, you coach class, so take it to half of the business class.
Sorry.
No,
it's okay. You got me, one thing in my nose there.
Do you mind if I get it?
Right, so back, lost in the bowels.
I like the candid because you were being silent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Finally get on my track.
Candid.
Just time, right? Yeah. So you can do that. Make up for that. Okay, so talk about
So, Siobhan, yeah, I'll do that. And Asha, if you want to join our tribe, we'll be right here.
I'll see what they choose.
This is our, Nicola's our IT.
So I was being filmed and I was like rushing and sweaty and disgusting.
So which, nice to meet you. There's still three places, Sarah?
I did not define this particular
Oh, good.
Jesus and Son. It's not really a definition at all.
Like to go Andrew is your industrial president. He's leaving. I would recommend this one.
Maybe they have to spend money on
That's not the video.
No, it's
No, I would say
See, there's a, so yeah, there's must have been. Must have been.
Must have been.
well,
And we